Welcome back to Germany. Let's start by how things have been going, which is not great. The last game you saw was the 1-1 draw with Arsenal. We then got beaten by Eintracht Frankfurt and terrible performance generally speaking. You can see from the match ratings here that most people did not play well. Actually, it was worse than I thought. I thought they'd scored before they went down to 10 men, but they didn't. They actually scored half an hour after they went down to 10 men. Yeah, we were awful. Eintracht are having a very good season, don't get me wrong, they're a good side. So losing away from home is no shame. But losing the way we did was shameful. We then bounced back with a 3-1 win over Werder Bremen. Never really in doubt. We were pretty good, apart from apparently Matthias Campos, who was terrible. Drew 1-1 with Lens. Again, not really the greatest of performances. Budimir Stankovic scored a goal, so the youngster coming on nicely. Followed that up with a goalless draw with Augsburg, where we dominated the game. They did not have a single shot at goal. They are bottom of the table, and we just couldn't get the ball in the net. We weren't really creating huge amounts of chances, but yeah, just nothing was going in. DFB Pokal, our reign is over. We conceded 2 goals in a minute early in the first half. We did hit one back. We could have got a draw and forced extra time or penalties or whatever it goes to. I can't remember. But yeah, we again weren't great. We weren't bad, but we weren't great. And yeah, we're out. So that trophy's gone. Followed that up with a home defeat by RB Leipzig, who went... Well, we actually took the lead completely against the run of play. They utterly dominated us. Don't be fooled by some of these match ratings being reasonable. We were completely outplayed. Actually, if I show you the thing here, XG totally dominated. They had miles more shots than us. They dominated possession. Basically, they were by far the better side. How we managed to make it as close as 3-2, I still don't know. Another disappointing draw in the Champions League. Again, not a bad performance, but toothless up front. Just didn't really do anything and could easily have lost it. Rarely threatened to win it. And in our last game, beat Hoffenheim by 2-0. Stefan Raum has started nodding some of those corners in, which is good. That was a much needed win because during this period, I have had 2 meetings with the board threatening my position at the club and saying that things have to improve. Now, I know we're out of the cup, which they were disappointed with, but we're not that far off of, fighting for Europe. Admittedly, 7 points off of Champions League places, which is what they do want. But things are going quite well in the Champions League. And yeah, basically, I called their bluff both times. They said, sort of things need to improve. I said, calm down. It's not as bad as it looks. Then it gave me the option to say, well, you're not going to find anyone better, are you? And they were sort of like, well, no. So I've said that twice to them now. And then I got a little newspaper report or article pop into my inbox before the Hoffenheim game saying that a poor performance and or a defeat in that game could spell the end of my time at the club. Well, as it turns out, it might have been my last game at the club anyway, because part of the reason that the board are a little miffed with me is because I got a message. Well, I got a message from a reporter saying, how did I feel about being linked with the Manchester City job? I didn't even know the Manchester City job was available. Turns out it was. So I said, well, yeah, it's great to be linked with such a high-profile job. I went to have a look. Yeah, there it is. It's available. So like, well, I may as well slip a cheeky application in. What's the harm? With noting that I was actually the bookie's favourite for the job. Now, the board obviously not overly happy that I applied for another job, and yeah, didn't really hear any more on it for a bit. Then got an article saying the City fans thought I was the leading candidate, and I was like, hello, this ball's starting to roll somewhere. And then, lo and behold, into my inbox comes an offer from Manchester City for a job interview for the job I applied for. The very next email was an offer to come for an interview from Atletico Madrid, who I have had no contact with at all prior to this. Now, I go to both job interviews, and Atletico come in saying, during the course of the interview I said, I'd like a bit of a budget to sort out the backroom staff, because I've got fairly good backroom staff. I'm quite pleased with them. And then I get the message saying, here's your budget for compensation for people. Sort out who you want to bring from there, who you want to get rid of from ours, which basically normally means you've got the job. So I go through the whole process, and there's a lot of changes. I mean, I would be, if I went to Atletico Madrid, I would be basically gutting the staff at Borussia Mönchengladbach. I would be taking so many of them with me, they would be in real trouble. They'd have almost no one left. The staff Christmas party would be a barren wasteland, basically. Yeah. But so I got that, and then a couple of days after I've done that, I get the job offer from Atletico Madrid. So I've got a job offer from Atletico Madrid on the table, but I'm waiting to see how the City interview has gone. So I asked Atletico to delay for a week, which they were fine with. They haven't got a game until January, so they're not that bothered. And then, lo and behold, I get the email about what staff would you like to bring with you from City. Now, for some reason, I obviously in the interview said I would need almost no budget for that. Probably assumed City would have really good staff. Turns out a lot of my staff probably actually better than a lot of theirs. So a nice budget would have been good. And I don't know as it would have cost me the interview. That was the thing I was a little bit worried about, sort of like saying, well, if I want a load of money for that, are they really going to be, willing to go with it? But I went through. Turns out their scouting is horrendous. They have got very little knowledge of the world for some reason. I don't know what they've been doing in that scouting department, but that could be the reason they're slipping. And so it was like, well, 4 of my scouts can come with me for absolutely no compensation whatsoever, and they've got decent amounts of knowledge around the world, so like, yeah, okay, bring them. Made a couple of other, well, I think it was all basically scouting stuff I managed to do. So sent that in, and long story, but we got there in the end. This is in my inbox. Now, I am on 1.84 million a year. Atletico are offering me about 2.5 million a year. As you can see, City are offering me 5.65 million a year. Now, just purely from a role-playing point of view, I'm probably going to pick the City job, aren't I? However, there are 1 or 2 caveats. Obviously, if I go to Atletico, I get to take a lot of my staff with me. I would know that I have really good staff. City, I think, need the staff overhauling. There's weak points in there and they need sorting out. You might also notice that transfer budget looks alarmingly low for Manchester City. Presumably, they've spent it all this year. Now, there are some players that... There's one who's transfer listed for 67 million, so that could be a bit of income. the wage budget, 415 million. They are currently 15 million over budget. However, there are a few players who will be out of contract at the end of this season who would free up somewhere in the region of £60 million of wage budget. One of them is Erling Haaland, who is retiring this summer. So if I took the job now, I would get to manage Erling Haaland for about 5 months. Another one is Phil Foden, who is not retiring at the end of the summer, but basically his legs have gone. His physicals are not particularly good. His mentals and his technicals are still there. They're the Phil Foden you know. But he's on a hell of a lot of wage, and he's only going to get worse mobility-wise, basically. So it might be that we have to cut Phil loose if we take the job. The third one is Mamardashvili, who you may remember from the Euros as Georgia's goalkeeper. He's still excellent. Whether I'd try and re-sign him if I got the job, I don't know. But basically, I didn't get great vibes from the City squad as is. I think it needs a bit of work, although since they sacked their manager, they have actually won 4 straight games and are now back up to 3rd in the Premier League. And just as you can see from the screen here, their manager was Thomas Tuchel. So that bodes well for England. And yeah, so City are well in the title challenge, which they have to be, and they expect the title basically every season. If I scroll down here a bit, you can see just next season win the Premier League and then continue to win the Premier League. You know, like real life. And yeah, I mean, it is the City job, but the things that are drawing me to Atletico are I haven't managed in Spain before, and obviously I would be able to take a lot of my staff with me, which would be an interesting thing that I've never really done particularly before. And they do have money to spend in the transfer market. They've got wage budget available. Their squad obviously is not that bad. They are not that far off of where they want to be in the league either. So, yeah, I am not 100% sure. I mean, this is like, it's the City job. I mean, I would condemn anyone who started at City with their career, but having earned my way up to City, do I really turn it down? But then, you know, Atletico Madrid are a fantastic side. They're one of the best sides in Spain. And, you know, it will be going up against Real and Barca and trying to break that duopoly. And they are somewhat more financially secure, it would seem, and viable than Manchester City. And I have never managed in Spain. So, basically, after approximately 15 minutes of waffle, what I want from you is an opinion. So, just a comment, City, Atletico. Which one do you think I should go for? If there's no clear winner, obviously I'll still have to decide. I may still decide anyway, but I just want the advice. Weigh it up, pros and cons. Where do I go next? Because I think my time at Mönchengladbach is done. One point to note is if it's City that we choose, I can take the job now, because obviously the offer is here, right on the table. If it's Atletico, I might have to manage one more Mönchengladbach game, because I asked them to delay, and the delay will take it to after our next league match. So, depends. I mean, some of you may choose Atletico if you want to see us play as Borussia Mönchengladbach one last time, because if you do, I will just put that game in. We'll do that game, and then we'll make the move. But yeah, basically I need your help. I'm a little bit stuck as to what to pick, and yeah, every time I think I want to go to City, I just sort of get this little nagging doubt in the back of my head. But then I'm not entirely sure about Atletico either. One thing I do probably know is that I'm just not going to stay at Mönchengladbach, because with these two offers on the table, I would be a fool to stay here. I have got two much bigger clubs after me. Anyway, right. Sorry, there's no action this time for you, but yeah, this is the most important decision I think I've ever had to make in Football Manager, and I wanted to get the wisdom of crowds. So let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you for watching this this quarter of an hour of absolute waffle from me. Like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time for the decision. Bye bye for now.